There's a specific kind of quiet that doesn't come from peace. It comes from practice. You know that kind of quiet, don't you? The one you learn to wear like a second skin. The quiet that doesn't just fill the room. It fills your body, your voice, your choices, your entire presence. On the outside, people say you're calm, easygoing, low maintenance, but inside, something else is happening. You're constantly scanning, constantly adjusting, constantly shrinking yourself to fit the emotional temperature of the room. You don't speak unless you're sure it won't cause ripples. You don't disagree unless the consequences are worth the internal earthquake. You don't express your needs unless they're on the brink of overflowing. And even then, you hesitate. Because somewhere along the way, you learned a painful truth. Being quiet kept you safe, but staying quiet now is what slowly breaks you. That's the paradox that quiet people live with. The survival mechanism that once protected you now isolates you. The silence that once shielded you now suffocates you. The ability to hold everything in now ensures that no one can see what you carry. And the world rarely notices. Because quiet suffering is invisible suffering. People don't see the emotional calculus running in your mind 1,000 times a day. They don't see the way your heart speeds up when someone raises their voice. They don't see how you rehearse sentences in your head before speaking. They don't see how much energy it takes to simply exist in social spaces. They don't see that your quiet isn't emptiness, it's containment. But the most painful part, even the people who care about you don't realize how little of you they actually know. Your silence protects them from discomfort, but it also protects them from truly knowing you. And deep down, you feel the ache of that. Welcome to the hidden world of quiet people, a world built not on peace, but on self-erasure. Quietness, in this archetype, is not a personality trait. It's a defense mechanism, a nervous system strategy for emotional survival. To understand it, we have to examine three core psychological concepts. First is hypervigilance. This is the nervous system on constant alert, scanning for danger, disapproval, or emotional volatility. For many quiet people, hypervigilance was learned early. In homes where conflict erupted suddenly, where emotional reactions were unpredictable, or where expressing needs was met with irritation or dismissal. So the body adapted. It learned that silence is safer than visibility. Hypervigilance rewires the brain's threat detection circuits, teaching you to read a room before you read yourself. Second is the fawning response. Fawning is the instinct to appease, to soften yourself, to accommodate others in order to prevent emotional harm. Quiet people often excel at fawning. They lower their volume, their presence, their desires, until they are palatable, predictable, pleasant. Not because they lack opinions, but because expressing those opinions once cost them something. Third is self-silencing. A term in psychological literature referring to the chronic suppression of personal thoughts, needs, or emotions to maintain relational harmony. Quiet people learn. If I speak, I risk losing connection. If I stay silent, at least no one gets hurt. Over time, self-silencing becomes automatic, a subconscious strategy encoded into neural pathways, shaping how you relate to yourself and the world. These three mechanisms interact to create a psychological environment where silence feels like safety. But there's a deeper layer. Neurologically, the brain begins to associate visibility with threat. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for self-expression, gets overridden by the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, which is why quiet people often say, "I knew what I wanted to say, but the words got stuck." It's not shyness, it's conditioning. And conditioning, when repeated over years, becomes identity. Let's talk about the emotional cost, the part that quiet people rarely articulate even to themselves. There is a grief that comes from spending years as a background character in your own life. There's a loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people who know your presence, but not your mind. There is a fatigue that builds from holding emotional weight that was never meant to be carried alone. And there's heartbreak. The heartbreak of knowing that the world has fallen in love with a muted version of you. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." For quiet people, this is not a poetic idea, it's a terrifying reality. Because accepting yourself completely requires doing the one thing you were trained not to do. Take up space, speak your truth, be seen. And being seen feels like exposure. Exposure feels like danger. And danger feels like the very thing you've spent a lifetime avoiding. The emotional cost is not small, it is not mild, it is not just being introverted. It is the cost of sacrificing authenticity for belonging. Quiet people carry the fear that if they were louder, more honest, more expressive, more themselves, they would lose someone they love, or risk being misunderstood, or become the source of conflict they were trained to avoid. This is why even simple moments, disagreeing, asking for help, saying, "That hurt me," stating a preference, taking a risk, being spontaneous, become complex internal battles. Because every action requires negotiating with the ghosts of old emotional injuries. This isn't quietness. This is containment, compression, survival. So what happens when a child who learned to stay quiet becomes an adult? The behaviors evolve, but the patterns remain. Here are the most common adult manifestations. 1. You apologize for existing. Sorry becomes a reflex, and you apologize for interrupting, for asking questions, for taking time, for needing help. You apologize simply for having needs. 2. You become the emotional shock absorber in relationships. You hold other people's feelings but hide your own. You become the stable one, the patient one, the understanding one, not because you don't struggle, but because you don't express it. 3. You avoid conflict at any cost. You would rather endure discomfort quietly than express a boundary loudly. Disagreement feels like danger, not dialogue. 4. You maintain relationships by minimizing yourself. You listen more than you speak. You agree more than you disagree. You adapt more than you assert. People love you, but they love the edited version of you. 5. You overthink every social interaction. After conversations, you replay the details. Did I sound weird? Did I overshare? Did they think I was rude? Should I have said more, said less? Your mind becomes an endless courtroom, and you are always the defendant. 6. You struggle to identify your own desires. After years of silencing your voice, your desires become quiet too. You know what others want from you, but you don't know what you want for yourself. This is not personality. This is pattern. And the first step to unlearning it is witnessing it, not judging it, not gaslighting yourself by saying, "It's just how I am," but seeing it for what it truly is, a coping strategy you no longer need. When you witness your silence as protection, not identity, you open the door to your true voice. Healing for quiet people is not about becoming loud, it's about becoming whole. It begins with small acts of courage, naming your feelings, even when it feels unnatural, letting yourself take up 5% more space than feels comfortable, practicing micro-boundaries like saying, "I can't talk right now," or "that hurt." choosing softness toward yourself rather than self-criticism, allowing silence to be rest, not repression. There's also inner child reparenting, the process of returning to the younger version of yourself who learned that silence was safety, and gently teaching them, you're allowed to speak now. You're allowed to exist fully. Shadow work helps you integrate the parts of yourself you hid, your anger, your truth, your intensity, your needs. You do not need to transform into someone loud or extroverted. Healing is not about changing your nature. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that were conditioned out of existence. Think of the words of Rainer Maria Rilke. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love. Your quietness once kept you safe. It was never your flaw, it was your shield. But now, you deserve a life where safety doesn't require self-erasure. You deserve relationships where your voice matters. You deserve to exist at full volume, not loud, but whole. So if this video resonated with you, if you recognized pieces of yourself in these words, know this. Your quiet was never emptiness. It was unspoken wisdom. And now, it's time to let some of it be heard. Thank you for watching. If you felt seen, someone else will too. So share this video, subscribe, and help others feel understood. Because healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about finally becoming yourself.